We're going to start today in a seated position. And just take whatever you're comfortable with. You can come into sesa, just sitting on your shins, or you can come cross-legged like paras, or you can come into full lotus if it's there for you. And close your eyes. And just take a couple moments, and like you're walking into a room, just take a couple moments and just notice the space inside. Allow your breath to deepen. Maybe notice if you can feel a pulse or some movement, even in the silence inside of you. And we're going to start right away with sounding some ohms. So bring your hands to heart center. Let your elbows be heavy. Let your heart lift up. Empty your breath all the way. Take a deep inhale. And then take your right hand to your left shoulder and your left hand to your right shoulder and give yourself a little bit of a squeeze here. Maybe come down to the outside, the top of your arms. And then just start to twist, just a little huggy twist here. So just moving, a little bit of movement here already. And then slow your movement, let your hands relax, gently open your eyes. And we're gonna transition and we're gonna go into Sphinx to start. So our simplest yoga posture, slide forward onto your mat, slide your elbows in front of your shoulders just a little bit. Let your legs be wide if your lower back feels healthy. If it feels a little tender, slide your legs together. And you're always welcome to slide your elbows more forward and relax onto your lowest ribs even. Bring your chin down to your chest and let your head hang forward for a couple of breaths here. Feel the stretch in your neck and your spine. And while you're still have your chin dropped here, just notice how you woke up this morning. And then when you're ready, feel free to lift up your head. And you can do a little small back rolls, no, letting your head drop back and doing little semicircles. So really massaging the cradle here of your shoulders. And then you can transition, if you'd like, to a little bit of the face yoga, kissing the three directions. Good morning. So you take your chin up over your shoulder, lifting your chin enough so you can feel the stretch in your neck, squeezing and pursing your lips together so you can feel your face. And then let your thoughts and your feelings go into your kissing of the universe. And then slide your chin down through center to the other side. In a lot of traditional prayers, you start by greeting the four different directions. And we can imagine that our ancestry, both through our bodies and culture that we are in now, but also I also imagine through the different incarnations we have, like how many different rituals we've been part of, how many different prayers we already have breathed through a body. And then find your way back to center. Finding a relaxed place for your head. So probably gently letting your shoulders drop down your back. Feel your bones heavy. And allow your breath to just help you check in and notice how your thinking has been so far this morning. Take a couple of breaths and notice how your feelings have been this morning. Take a couple of breaths and notice how your energy and your physical body are feeling this morning. And if you feel like it for the last minute of this pose, you're welcome to stretch your arms long. Thank you, Sabine. And lift up into seal pose, just making the back bend a little deeper. And then with your next exhale, soften down to the earth. Maybe stack your forearms and have your forehead resting on your arms. And just shake your hips side to side, or even bend your knees and let your legs shake side to side. And after you've gotten some nice healthy movement, let the movement slow naturally and let your body again come to stillness. And then slide your legs together and bring your hands underneath your shoulders and pull them down. So you even stretch your elbows towards your waist, and then actively engage your legs, plant your toenails into the ground, let your thighs lift up with your feet pushed down, and inhale, low cobra. Exhale, release back down. Yes, I'm sneaking in a little yang here. Inhale, low cobra. Exhale back down. Now take your arms outside of your mat, tense your fingers. I've been calling this baby diva cobra. I don't know. Dramatic little cobra. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, relax down. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, relax down. And then slide your hands back. And we're going to do one last one. Let your legs be strong, and inhale, lift all the way up into cobra. So actually extending your arms if it's there for you, like it's an active seal. I don't teach this very much, but you want your legs really, really active. And then with your exhale, release down to the ground, push your hips back to your heels, cross your ankles, roll over your crossed ankles. And then you're gonna bring your feet into flutterby, butterfly. So this is often the way I start my own practice, doing a back bend and then a forward bend and having like a gentle kind of movement in between. Grab onto your shins, stretch your chest up to the ceiling. You should feel quite open after our cobra dance. And with your exhale, bring your chin to your chest and bow forward, softening to the ground and turning your palms up and really letting your hands be passive here, like open to receive something. So don't worry too much if your head is barely dropping down, your chin to your chest. And you can see other people dropping all the way down to the ground. Just feel where you're at this morning. And then as best as you can, soften and gently be in the pose. So often we're starting our yang practice with sun salutations. And we have grown up in a culture of sun worshipers, sun devotees. And I'm wondering how we can not lose our love for the sun, but invite instead a complementary devotion to the moon into our practice as well. So that already has started with our practice of yin. So often we go right to saying yin is water and yang is fire. And it's so easy to forget that the sun is yang and the earth is water. But what rules our water? What affects our water? I mean, actually, both of these wonderful and all the other ones too, celestial planets affect our water, but the moon, we all know, has an intimate connection to the mysteries of water, governing the way it moves, governing when the tide is going to be highest. As we look into this past year, we've had all sorts of first-time occurrences. Whether it was at one point, I think there was like 5 different separate hurricanes active in the Atlantic Ocean at once. Or whether it's been the biggest fires ever. There's been weird weather patterns. And challenging crises all over this world. But water plays such a big role. Not only being the balance to fire, but how water moves and how the indigenous stories of water, the ancient mysteries of water that we've received. For instance, how rivers are the communication system of the land. So it's the rivers that and the waters that let the mountains know what's going on by the coast. These intimate systems of earthly communication literally have been dammed or dampened or cut off. With your next inhale, roll up and come back onto your elbows. You can wiggle your elbows closer together. If it's not cool for your shoulder, feel free to just lay your upper body down on the ground. And if it's all right for your neck, drop your head back. Let your head hang. So this year we've been so confronted with this environmental crisis at a head, with all of these different fires and floods and natural disasters or man-made natural disasters. But it hasn't come alone. It's come together with a health crisis. This beautiful uncovering and undeniable relationship of the earth and us. That if the earth is in crisis, of course we are in crisis. When we look in, when we imagine looking into our bodies, we can imagine that just like the rivers, our circulatory system is a communication system in our body. And in our body, we also have mysteries, for instance, such that the water in our physical body acts unlike it does nearly anywhere else. And you can say that in our body, the water is like the fifth state, where it's not a solution, it's not liquid, but it's also not solid, but it's in between. It's a gel state. And we know from our exposure to all of our communication systems, but especially our cell phones right now, part of that is the conductivity is so incredible with gels. So in our phones, it's not water, but other forms of gels that help them work better. Let your elbows slide out to the side if you haven't already. Bring your upper body down to the ground and bring one hand to your heart and one hand to your belly. So if we see ourselves as this like little earth, interestingly enough, the heart is connected to the sun, but there's no planet, there's no organ that's directly connected to the moon. I've always thought about, oh, it must be Mercury. Does it go in here, babe? Or, sorry, I need to charge your computer. Groovy. Okay. Now stretch your body long. Let your arms relax next to your body. Palms facing up. So a little mini Shavasana, but mini. And one of my imaginations just recently has been like, okay, if the moon isn't given like one organ, like maybe it is actually connected to the blood or the water systems in our body. And you can think about it, how the heart is the sun and it radiates out, and it doesn't like say no to any part of this earth. It's the most inclusive light. It's also the light of the moon. And the moon moves from being bright on the full moon, like we have on Saturday, our blue moon this month, meaning that it's the second full moon in a month. But then we also have the dark moon, the new moon, where it's like it goes into mystery, it goes into darkness. And our blood seems to act the same way too, where the blood moves from our heart, delivering oxygenated blood, and then takes something from each cell and in darkness moves back to our heart. And this is part of what happens on the way back from our cells, is the blood delivers all of the information about each and every little part of your body back to the heart. So the heart can integrate it all together. Hug your knees to your chest and start to roll back and forth on your spine, massaging your back. And then roll up into a seated position. Fold your left heel in, stretch your right leg out. So this is actually we don't think of this so much as a twist, but you want to take a couple moments and really actually twist your spine. So you're trying to reach your belly button over your extended arm, and then surrender and bow forward for our last yin pose here. So let your head hang, let your elbows be heavy. You have about 90 degrees between your thighs. I wonder how much the moon knows about us. The moon has been given this responsibility or not responsibility, it's been given this characteristic of being receptive, because we know it's receiving the sunlight because it gives it back. Little ironic, right? But it's a lovely picture. It's such a nice balance. The good Dr. Rudolf Steiner talks about how, as humans, we have to learn how to receive. It's like one of the sacrifices we have to do. We actually have to teach ourselves to receive so that we are more capable to give. It's exactly this picture that the moon gives us, yeah? The moon that is so receptive, what does it do? It shines a light right back. So it's not receiving to keep, it's receiving to give. We want to contemplate and meditate and allow our imagination to explore these moon qualities. these qualities of yin. We're living in a time where all of these mysteries are being uncovered. And it doesn't mean that they're not mysterious or esoteric anymore. They're like these open living secrets that are available to anyone who has the impulse to go and meet them. The magic and mystery of this world is in a way like coming to a head where we can't deny our co-creative responsibility anymore because we see what happens when it does. Everything's falling apart and inviting chaos and destruction in so it can start anew. Inhale, roll up. Take your left hand, place it behind you. Stretch your right arm up. Stretch the whole right side of your body. Feel your hips pushing forward. And then with your exhale, come down and switch your legs. Should feel like a wonderful good morning stretch. So find about 90 degrees. Maybe you have more of a flumet dance, fluffy dance, or maybe you're a little bit more, gotta get done, let your elbows lift up high. And then twist over your beautiful left leg and bow and soften. Very, very typical of the stereotype of water signs. I'm a water sign, I'm a Scorpio. I had such a hard time falling asleep last night. And again, waking up this morning, I was just so wired. I mean, I was ready to like stay up really late last night, but of course I remembered I had to get up this morning. But the full moon, it energizes me. I feel supercharged often on the full moon. It's an amazing time for me to get stuff done, especially creatively. And I've also noticed that I'll have often a full moon hangover where the day after the full moon, it's like my bones are extra heavy and I have to drag myself a little bit more effort than usual into my day. In this fall time, I've met a lot of people who find their energy zapped as the seasons change and it gets darker. Notice how much the weather and where the moon is and where your cycle is and where you can go further, how the sun is, how the Mercury is, how Mars is. Your study is, there's so much to discover, but start to notice what holy, celestial, universal rhythms you actually echo in the small kind of holographic piece of earth that is you. Take 3 more soft, delightful, full breaths. And then with your inhale, roll up. Place your left hand behind you and then lift up. Sorry, Bear, you have your knee on the ground. I just did a little, like I was talking and did something weird. And your heel in front of you. And then bring your hips back down. And squeeze your knees in. Hug your head in. Feel that it's a charging self-hug. And we're going to move from the moon to the sun and see if we can change our own weather. But more importantly, if we can charge ourselves up to be a sun and a light for other people. Now, lift up your butt. I'm still on my heels. And then see if maybe you can lift up your heels. Keep your hips close to your heels. See if you can drop your knees so they're lower than your hips. Squeeze your legs together. Maybe bring your hands to prayer. And then keep squeezing and see if you can stand all the way up onto your toes. Stretch your arms up. See if you can look up without teetering off your toes. And with your exhale, let your heels drop down. Your hands come to heart center. Inhale, just lift up your chest. Exhale, feel your tailbone drop. Then inhale, reach your arms out. Stretch your arms up high. And with your exhale, soften your knees and bow forward. Inhale, halfway lift. And then step back to plank. And let's get a little warmer here. So in one of my teachers used to say, it used to introduce these like heating elements as like a fire log. Like this is the burner you're gonna start stuff off with. So staying in plank, maybe see if you can bring your right hand to your left shoulder. And then put it down. And then left hand to the right shoulder. And then put it down. And then see if you can tap that a little faster without moving anything other than your arms. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Find your plank. Take another full inhale as you inch forward to your tippy toes. Lower all the way down to the ground, or chaturanga, ready if you're feeling spicy. And then inhale, low cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let your knees soften. You want to imagine, yep, you've got 2 heavenly tattoos of stars on your butt and they want to go back up to the sky. You might have a more romantic imagination, but that's what's been doing it for me these days. Feel your fuel, your breath. With a little bend in your knees, you can feel that your legs are active. Let your knees bend deeper, let your heels lift up as you empty your breath all the way, look forward, and then lightly hop your feet in between your hands. Inhale, drag your chest forward, nice Akiko. Exhale, release and bow down, let your head drop. Push down with your feet, rise up tall, stretch up to the sky, and with your exhale, come back to center. Samasti. Teehee. Inhale, stretch your arms up. Nice sun. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, halfway lift. And then step back to plank. And lift up your right leg so that your toes are lined up with your heel. Inhale, shift forward to the tippy toes of your left foot and back. And inhale and forward. So you're not really moving your right leg other than keeping it lifted, shifting back and forth. And then bring your right toes down, lift up your left foot, and do this little shimmy. And then bring your left foot down, inch forward, and slowly lower down. Chaturanga, elbows and shoulders the same height. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let your knees soften. You want to spin your heels so you can't see your ankles. Nope, you want to spin your heels behind your ankles. You can see your ankles. Yep, Camila, I got it. The only way you can't see your ankles in this position if you close your eyes, but don't do that. Instead, take another full inhale. Empty your breath all the way, and then fly your feet forward softly. Inhale, glide your chest forward. Exhale, release and bow down. Push down with your feet, stretch your arms up, reach up tall. And with your exhale, Samastitihi. Inhale, stretch your arms up. Exhale, bow down. Inhale, halfway lift. Walk or float this time. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra, toenails root down to the ground. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, stretch your right leg up to the sky. Then bend your knee and let your hips spin open. So all of your attention probably goes to your right leg here. So let your heel be reaching for your buttocks. You're really active. You can even feel that you're reaching your right hip away from your left hip. And then feel that you're rooting down, that your left hip is earthing down. Even your right armpit is stretching towards your left foot. Take another full inhale. And with your exhale, tap your right knee to your left elbow. Inhale, stretch your right leg long. With your exhale, take your right knee to your right elbow. And then drop it down to your wrist, hovering above the mat. Pulse it back up to your chest. 2 more times. Drop it down, pulse it up. Drop it down, pulse it up. Drop it down, pulse it all the way back. Exhale, relax your right leg down. Pause for a minute here, taking a full breath. And maybe even feel the warmth in your hip, in your leg. That's right. And then with your inhale, stretch your left leg. Bend your knee and let your hips spin open. Notice that your attention goes to the thing that you're moving. And first, bring your attention there. Let your left heel come towards the left buttocks. Feel the left hip reaching up away from your right hip even. But then notice what you need to root down to allow that lift. Let your right heel root. And then even spinning your left armpit to reach towards your right ankle. So that you square your chest a little bit more. Yes. Take another full inhale. And with your exhale, bring your left knee to your right elbow. Inhale, stretch your leg long. And with your exhale, bring your left knee to your left elbow and then drop it down nearly to the floor and then pulse it up as high as you can. We're going to do that 2 more times. Drop it down, pulse it up. Feel the pull of your belly. Drop it down, pulse it up. Drop it down, pull it all the way back. Yeah. And then with your exhale, relax your left leg down. Pause for a minute. Maybe feel that your hips are now equally warm. Take another full inhale. Empty your breath all the way and float your feet in between your hands. Inhale, glide your chest forward. Exhale, release and bow down. Let your head drop. Push down with your feet. Stretch up tall to the sky. Reach up high. And with your exhale, Samastitihi. And then bend your knees, drop your hips, and come resting into Utkatasana. So notice you can allow your imagination to help you here. You're either going to be like, oh, Utkatasana, it sucks, it's so hard, blah, 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 blah. Or instead use all of that energy and imagine you're actually sitting on something. Find the weight in your heels. Imagine that the air actually is supporting you a little bit. Are you shaking your head because you don't believe it yet? I mean, we're just getting the kinks out. No! Invisible chairs. Take another full inhale, let your heart lift up, and with your exhale, bow down. Inhale, halfway lift. Walk or float. Exhale, I love chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, stretch your right leg up to the sky. And with your exhale, try to tap your right knee to your right shoulder. It's really high up there. Yeah, inhale, stretch your leg long. And exhale, try to tap your right knee to your right shoulder. Axel. Inhale, stretch your right leg long. Exhale, bring your knee to your nose. Feel that same lift in your belly. And then lightly step your right foot all the way forward. Bring your left knee down to the ground. Slide your knee back a little bit. And then raise your arms up. Now notice that you can drop into your stretch here and then squeeze your inner thighs together and lift up a little bit. So it's a little bit of a pulsing here. 3 or 4 times. See if you can find that mechanism. And then keep the squeeze of your inner thighs squeezing together. Tuck your left toes under and just stretch your left leg straight back. Take another full inhale, maybe your heart lifting up. And with your exhale, sweet chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, stretch your left leg long. And with your exhale, just imagine it's possible. First, bring your left knee to your left shoulder. Inhale, stretch your leg long. Exhale, try it again. The try is what you're after. Inhale, lift your left leg long. Exhale, bring your knee to your nose. Still feel that lift so you have lots of room to step your left foot forward. Bring your right knee down. If you're over 20, you might need to pad underneath your knee. You can fold your mat in if you need to. Inhale, stretch your arms up. And then find where you can drop into the stretch and find the inner thighs squeezing together, your root lock engaging, and you lift up. Drop down, finding this pulse. A couple of times, 3 or 4. And then feel the squeeze of your inner thighs squeezing together, like closing an accordion. And then just tuck your right toes under and stretch your legs straight back, staying low. Maybe your heart lifts up, find space between your ribs and your hips. And with your exhale, follow your breath to your vinyasa. Chaturanga, throwing a running person. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. And then walk your hands back to your feet and bend your knees and come into goddess. Feel your heart lift up. Now we're not going to get too comfy yet. We're still wanting our fire hot and stoked. I was actually thinking the other way, Camila. So start to lift your hips up. Oh yeah. And then lift your chest up a little bit more. Let your elbows float. Push your palms together like I'm pushing into my palm. And then stay as low as you can. And this weird little, like this is if frogs could walk upright, right? And then walk all the way back. Come to the back of your mat. Let your chest lift up. And then walk all the way forward again. It's, you know, it's not the walk you take down the street or even the model walk. And then come back. And then, drop down to goddess. And then plant your hands. You should have the mat in front of you. That's wonderful. And bring your knees to the backs of your armpits as much as you can. And then first lift up your butt. Then start to shift your weight forward, maybe lifting one toe, one foot, bring both feet up, finding crow, letting your gaze start to lift once your feet are lifted. Big toes touching, reaching your heels towards your... All right, and then come back to goddess. Now, staying low here, you're going to walk your hands forward to plank. Step your feet together. And then roll to the outside edge of your left foot. Stretch your right arm up to the sky, coming into side plank. Reach with both hands, so you're pushing down one to the floor and one up to the ceiling. Eventually, you're going to stand the bottoms of your feet on the ground here, or sorry, the bottom of your left foot on the ground. And then see if maybe you can lift up your right leg, maybe not. You can bend it and do a bent knee version. You can bend your arm to go with it. You maybe stretch your legs straight up to the sky. And then find your way back all the way to plank. The power move here is to do a push-up. So go to chaturanga and back up to plank. Yeah. And then roll to the outside edge of your right foot. And then raise your left hand if you're having fun. Feel that you're really reaching in two directions, even though it's very obvious you're lifting your left hand, but not obvious you're extending your right. Maybe bring the right foot onto the ground. And as you're able, lift your left leg. So you can do a variation where you have your elbow and knees bent on your left leg and left arm, or fully extend it. But work where you're shaky and not sure. And then with your exhale, sweet chaturanga. Inhale to plank, you're the master. Exhale, downward facing dog. Soften your knees and drop down to child's pose. Not losing your heat, still breathing through your nose. Roll up and stand on your shins, preparing for camel pose. So if you're flexible, you can already just extend your toes. If you have a tight lower back today, feel free to tuck your toes under. You want to stand as tall as you can. Bring your hands to your back, and then let your hips slide forward, but without dropping down. So you're not just letting everything like hang out, but you're still being active and reaching your ribs away from your hips. Inhale, let your heart lift up, and exhale, let your head drop back. Inhale, lift your chest up some more. Maybe you have the freedom to drop your hands down to your heels. Wherever you are, if you want to try doing a lion's pose here, stick out your tongue and with a whisper, roar like a lioness or a lion. And then inhale, lift up. And with your exhale, come into child's pose. Let your arms reach forward. You okay there, Camila? Okay. You got the feels. Yeah, that'll happen. All right. Before we lose our fire, lift up one more time. We're going to do a second camel. And one of the art of doing the second set of something is approach it again totally new. Like you might have had a horrible time in the first set or a wonderful time. But just pretend this is not pretend, it is a completely new moment. So lift up your heart, be daring in your practice, let your hips slide forward, risk falling, risk doing it wrong. Now maybe you want to do another lion's pose, stick out your tongue all the way down to your chin, look at your third eye, and with a whisper, roar like a lion. And then inhale up and let your hips sink down. And this time maybe take your arms back behind you for embryo pose here. And then inhale, lift up your chest. And you're going to bring your right knee in front of you and you stretch your left leg straight back. And you're going to reach back and see if maybe you can hook your toes into the crook of your left elbow. Or maybe just hold on to your left foot. So you're either holding onto your foot, like Pear's here. Let me see if I can get up the other way. Or maybe you're able to take the bind, squaring your hips forward, breathing into it, wherever your edge is. That's where the exciting things happen. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be the same as yesterday. And then release your grip. Stretch your left leg long and start to walk your hands forward, letting your head come down, softening into pigeon pose. Take a full breath in here, and with your exhale, just sigh it out. So we're returning again to more of this quiet side of our practice, but different than when we started because our body is fiery and warm. You know the difference. You've spent time in places that were warm. You've spent time in places that are cool and cold. To be surrendering and expansive when it's cold takes a different inner effort that when you're tired and worked and warm and sweaty, you can just expand. And then inhale, start to walk your hands back to your shoulders. Sweep your left leg around. Step your left foot in front of your right knee. Stretch your right arm up to the sky. And with your exhale, turn away from your arm and hook your elbow to the outside of your knee. Inhale, lift up tall with your spine. With your exhale, allow your spine to twist your left hand, supporting you behind your back so that you can stay long and lifted in your spine. Or maybe eventually wrapping behind you and giving yourself a bind or a yogic hug. Take a full inhale. See how deeply you can feel your breath move. Exhale, twisting a little deeper. And with your next inhale, unwind and switch your legs. So you're going to bring your left knee in front of you. We're going to go into the pigeon. So switch your legs for pigeon. I should have been a little bit more clear. So your right leg stretches back. Your left knee's in front of you. For the rest, I think you need to do it this way. And see if you can reach back. And most likely, one side is not like the other. Just explore it. Notice the nuances. Maybe you're just holding your foot. And like, you know, we get the photos. Like, I just saw this beautiful photograph that's at my printers and it's going to be entered into a contest. And I just find it so, it's like when I'm working, Pear's right in front of it, but I'm working on this painting of this, a friend of mine who's pregnant, and she's just gorgeous. So if I'm painting her, it's just beautiful and it looks beautiful. The same thing with a photo, like you take a photograph of a beautiful woman and of course it looks beautiful. In these postures, you can look beautiful in all the different stages of it. We see the extreme ones photographed and we think that's it. But oh my dear, there's so many ways of beautiful, so many versions of beautiful. Release your right leg, stretch it back, walk your hands forward and drape your chest down to the ground. Let your head relax. Find this softness that comes after being warmed, different from the effort that we need to surrender when we don't want to. We want to start to notice that one of the elements of awakening our moon forces is this element of shifting our focus. So imagine if we take like the sun and the moon into consideration in a decision, the archetypes of that would be take yourself and everybody else into consideration with your decisions. You then marry this yin and yang wisdom that you carry with you in every cell of your body. That's why I started calling our practice our holy yoga, but like WH, whole and complete. Nothing should be outside of your practice. Your challenges, your successes, your pride, your shame. Bring it in, digest them, transform them. So you can shine them back like the light of the moon. So you allow what you receive to be fuel for what you're here to give. Walk your hands back underneath your shoulders, lift up your chest, sweep your right leg around, step your right foot just in front of your left knee, raise your left arm up to the sky, see if you can reach up to the moon, and then turn away from your arm, coming into the twist here. Inhale, let your spine lift and get tall. With your exhale, twist. Inhale, lift up high, exhale, twist. Take another full inhale, and with your exhale this time, open back up to center. And slowly lower yourself down for Shavasana. So stretch your body out. Palms open to receive. Notice that part of how you can relax and be soft here is because of the solidness of the ground that's holding you. Let your eyes close. Find stillness, but actively keep your attention, your consciousness here in your body, in your room. You can help yourself stay present by listening. With your next inhale, invite your breath to the edges of your body. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Maybe smile. Stretch your body long on your inhale, hands reaching away from your feet. On your exhale, curl into a ball and roll onto one side. And just pause for a moment there and just feel the vibrancy and the vitality of the sun and moon in you. And then help yourself up into a comfortable seated position. Allow your hands to meet at heart center. Let your elbows be heavy, your spine lifted. With your eyes closed, just feel who is together with us in this moment. And let's close with one final Om. Empty your breath. Take a deep inhale. Bring your prayer hands to your third eye. Invite the divine light. And as we bow forward together, we say, Namaste. And so much love. And thank you, Pear. And thank you. You guys are amazing. It's so nice to see your faces. And thank you so much for practicing with me, even when I don't see your faces. Go out there and be awesome.